This week on the pod, AJ and I are discussing the 2008 cult classic, Repo, the Genetic Opera. This is I Pierce the Toast. I'm Sean.
And I'm AJ. Let's make some toast.
Welcome back to I Pierce the Toast.
I think you mean IPTT, but as I remember from our last episode, you don't want to do the bit anymore, so let's just progress.
Are we just going to progress?
Yeah.
Oh, so we're not doing the bit anymore?
No, because apparently you don't know what it means to be an IPTT.
No, I said we should do IPTT, and you kept saying, no, we have to IPTT.
It is IPTT.
You refused to get on board with the IPTT.
I'm just saying that every bit of our information online and all of our socials are IPTT, so
Well, that's
I think I win that.
I Pierce the Toast in a fucking URL would be kind of clunky.
So you're saying that I Pierce the Toast is clunky?
I'm saying, when spoken, I Pierce the Toast rolls off the tongue like fine butter, whereas in text, IPTT saves time and effort.
Fine butter, like the kind that you put on your fucking crackers?
No, like the kind you put on toast.
Oh. But really, we do need to discuss your fucking butter on fucking crackers.
I like butter on saltines. That's just
that is his
I
thing.
Enjoy. It's not my thing. It's not like I'm the only motherfucker in the world doing it.
When I say butter, I mean just like regular fucking butter. He will go grab a cracker and just slather fucking butter on it and eat that shit. It's disgusting.
I am salivating just hearing you describe it. AJ, we need to talk about a drug epidemic.
A drug epidemic?
Yeah. It's ruining lives. It's hurting people. And it comes in a little glass vial.
A little glass vial?
A little glass vial. Of course, we're talking about Zydrate, the drug that can be extracted from the dead in its cheap form, but is synthesized in a lab in its more
refined state.
Refined state.
Yeah.
Thank you. Refined. Thank you. That's good. Of course, we're alluding to our topic this week because there's no news, is there? Do we have any news?
I don't think there's really any news, and if there is, we're just going to let it go. We'll discuss news in...
One piece of news, I'm sorry. Totally Killer, that we've been talking about. It's coming out tonight, and I'm going to go ahead and cover it for not next week, obviously, because AJ will be covering a film next week. But the week after that, kind of winding up our spooky season, I think I'm going to go ahead and cover Totally Killer, because it looks like a lot of fun. So be looking out for that. It's coming out tonight as we're recording, which means if you're listening to this on Wednesday, it has already been released. It's on Prime. Go watch it. Let us know what you think, and then we'll watch it and tell you what we think as well, because that's kind of what we do here.
Well, there is another piece of, I guess, it's not really news per se, but a friend of mine at work was actually talking to me about a new Alien movie that just came out called No One Will Save You, and I'm super stoked to watch this.
Is this the one that's on Hulu?
Yeah, it's on Hulu, and apparently it is just one of the best Alien movies. Like, to me, I guess invasion type movies, I can say.
I was about to say, is this Invasion, Snatch, or Encountering in Space?
It's definitely an invasion type thing, but it's... I don't know. From what I understand, there's not a lot of dialogue, but it's just very well done, and it's spooky.
I don't know. It's going to be hard to beat. What's the one from the guy that was in The Office? John Krasinski.
You mean The Quiet Place? The
Quiet Place. It's going to be hard to beat that, because that is technically an alien invasion film. And dear God, what a masterpiece. Just an incredible cinematic journey at every level. The characterization, and the fact they were able to do so much characterization with so little. Because they couldn't talk a lot. Mm-hmm. But they were still able to build these very robust characters that you really cared about. I mean, just a phenomenal film. So I'm going to give this a watch. It was called... No
One Will Save You.
No One Will Save You. I'm definitely going to give that a watch, but it's got big shoes to fill if it's going to be competing against films like The Quiet Place. AJ, let's get us some Repo Man.
Ooh, Repo.
This week we are talking about Repo, the Genetic Opera. To give a synopsis, and I don't even know if I can do a synopsis justice.
I think before you get into the synopsis, I think we should talk about why this movie is so special to us.
But why is it special to you, AJ?
It's special to us, you son of a bitch. This is literally the movie that got us together.
No, football got us together.
No,
we watched a sports ball game.
We watched football together, but what did we discuss at that football game? Then we stopped watching football and actually started talking.
Porn?
No, it was this movie. We were literally talking about Repo, the Genetic Opera, and I forgot exactly what was said, but I believe you might have just said it comes in a little glass vial, and then I said a little glass vial, and then you looked at me and you're like, "Wait, you've seen Repo?" And I said, "Yeah." And then we just...
Which was crazy, because at the time, we're talking, 10 years ago?
10, 11 years ago, something like that.
So this was just a few years after Repo had actually been released. And this is a cult classic. This was not a... When I say cult classic, I think I've used that term a little too loosely in the past. This is by far an actual cult classic.
It 100% is.
And we're going to go into some details about just how much of a cult classic this is in terms of how it did in the box office when it was first released. But really, this just has the cult following. And it's actually been compared to the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
Because obviously this is, much like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, this is mostly singing. Now, there's definitely some dialogue outside of the singing. There's a lot of, operatic type talking within the film. That's, it's kind of sing-song talking, but it's very much mostly done to music. But yeah, it is very important to both AJ and I think we've both just kind of been in love with this film because it's fun. It's a
really fun movie.
It's by no means a good movie.
No, but the music and the way that it's put together, it was done in such a different way that I've seen musicals. And as a theater kid, and I believe you could probably attest to this as well, this is something where it's like, you took what I wanted as a theater kid, something I always wanted to see, and put it on the screen. And I think that's why we connect so much with it and why we were able to connect together, is because we understood that this is something that we both really wanted to see. We finally saw it. And as you said, it's a cult classic. It's one of those things where everyone gets together and it's got that cult following. And once you join the cult of Repo, the Genetic Opera, I don't think there's any leaving. If you watch this movie, I guarantee when someone says Zydrate comes in a little glass vial, you will repeat,
a little glass vial?
A little glass vial.
So with that, come with us while we induct you into the cult that is Repo, the Genetic Opera. The film was released in 2008, directed by Darren Lynn Bousman? I'm not really sure how to pronounce his name, but Bousman. Now, Bousman actually directed Saw 2, 3, 4, and Spiral, as well as the Repo short that I think I've mentioned
in
the
mentioned
past
that in the Saw episode.
That preceded the feature-length film. So that's kind of funny that, we covered Saw 2 weeks ago, and now we're talking about Darren Lynn Bousman, who was attached to projects with Saw, just not the one we were specifically talking about. So that's fun. Producers, and we're going to see a lot of overlap with Saw. And specifically, I'll mention that it should come as no surprise, the production companies behind Repo are the same as the Saw films. Lionsgate and Twisted Pictures. So first we have Mark Berg, who also produced many of the Saw films. He did John Q with Denzel Washington, as well as 2.5 Men, which I thought is kind of a bit of a departure. This is another Aquaman to me. I don't know what the fuck that's all about. Oren Cools, who we actually discussed when we discussed Saw. He produced a lot of the Saw series as well. And of course, 2.5 Men.
Yeah.
And then Carl Mazzacone, who had a little bit of a different production path. He did Texas Chainsaw, not Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is a more recent adaptation of the Texas Chainsaw series called Texas Chainsaw. A follow-up to that called Leatherface.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those, right. I think it was like a 1980s film called Starman. And then this one, I don't know if you'll remember this, Boxing Helena. It wasn't, I think it was a little bit more of an avant-garde piece.
Okay.
I don't think it was so much of a horror film, but I didn't look it up. But let's jump into the cast, because I'm excited about this cast. This is a very, let's call it eclectic cast.
Yes.
Because we reached from all sorts of different places to pull this cast. I don't think this is like any other film we've ever covered when it comes to the casting.
Oh, no, because usually it's very select. It's like, okay, if reality bites, I want to get some young, hip kids.
Yes, great example. Great example.
But, and then you have your one little yuppie guy with Ben Stiller. So you have your one oddball. This is
the yuppie.
This is 100% like, okay, I want a young person. I want a yuppie. I want an opera singer. I want an Italian mafioso. I want all of these different things, and I might want an heiress all in one.
Oh, yeah. And they definitely looked for people that really fit the bill. They didn't want to just have somebody who could play the role. They looked at the archetype of the character and said, this is who this person needs to be, and they went out and they found that person.
Exactly.
They really didn't try to say, hey, if you're a good enough actor, you'll be able to fit the role. They said, no, we want to find the person that works this role. Mm-hmm. And dear God, did they do a phenomenal job. So starting off right at the top, first we're going to discuss the Largo family. Then we're going to discuss kind of the and I won't call them all the Wallace family, but they're all sort of intertwined with the Wallace family. So that's what we've kind of got. We kind of got the Largo family and the Wallaces, and then a couple of characters that are more kind of intertwined with the Wallaces.
Okay.
So first off, Paul Sorvino.
Oh, I love him.
Amazing actor. Paul plays Roddy Largo, or the father. We actually, unfortunately, lost Paul back in 2022, but he had a long and very prosperous career, very often playing Italian gangsters. He'll most likely be recognizable as Paulie in The Goodfellas, Eddie Valentine in Rocketeer, and actually departed a bit and played Henry Kissinger in Nixon, which I thought was pretty badass.
Oh, that's cool. I know him from Dick Tracy. I know him from all these other things, but Dick Tracy.
Who was he in Dick Tracy?
He was Lips.
Was he Lips?
He was fucking Lips.
Fuck, I totally forgot he's Lips. Oh, that's awesome. Next, and I know this is stupid, but I think this is my favorite casting. Paris Hilton.
We talked about this briefly in another episode, how this, I think it was the Nepotism in Hollywood episode.
Right.
Yeah.
But in this case, I don't think nepotism really came into play. They looked at this character. So Paris plays the character of Amber Sweet, which is interesting because she's, obviously Amber, her last name is really Largo, but for some reason she's Amber Sweet in the film. She's the daughter of Roddy, and one of 3 siblings that has the potential to, inherit the Geneco empire, which we'll get into a little bit here in a second. She definitely plays Paris Hilton in this film. She is a entitled, spoiled brat, and I'm not saying that to disparage Paris, because I think we can all agree over the years, the Paris Hilton that we knew in the early 2000s that was part of The Simple Life, that's the TV show where she kind of just made fun of poor people, which is kind of fucked up. That Paris Hilton is no more. She grew up, she's a philanthropist, she's a designer, she's done some acting, she runs businesses. I mean, she's a very successful woman. Now, yes, her father is the fucking Hilton guy. She has plenty of money to work with. But I will say she has not squandered her opportunities, at least no longer. She has definitely tried to take advantage of the advantages that she was given.
I think it's recently that she came out and she said that the person that she was on Simple Life, and I forget what the other ones were, but she said that was actually just a character that she played. That's not who she was at all. Interesting. Yeah.
So, an often divisive figure in the past, Paris is the heir, of course, to the Hilton Hotel fortune, but it's been seen in such projects as A Simple Life with Nicole Richie, as we discussed, House of Wax, a horror film where victims are encased in wax while still alive. This is in addition to her other non-acting projects, such as modeling, business ownership, philanthropy. She is a New York Times bestselling author. So, say what you will about Paris, she stays busy, and I think she has shown us to be a force to be reckoned with. She is not the Paris Hilton we knew.
Yeah.
So, fun fact, Darren Lynn Bousman actually refused to hold an audition originally for Paris.
Is there a reason behind that?
Oh, yeah. He didn't think she was going to be capable. And he actually feared media backlash on accusations of quote-unquote stunt casting. Like, just casting someone as a stunt, right? So he finally caves in and he gives her an audition. And she comes in dressed perfectly for the part. And she actually rocked the sound booth audition. And after the audition, he was convinced she had to play the role. So I think that is so indicative of how we as a society were kind of geared towards viewing Paris. Oh, she's just going to be this heiress, and if we put her in there, she's just a stunt cast. But then you bring her in and you see what she can do, and it's like, oh no, this is a serious person who really wants to try to do her best. Even if she is not the greatest actress in the world, she's trying to give you a quality product. She's not coming in and just expecting you to hand her the role. She's gonna give you everything she's got, and there's something to be said for that. Another fun fact with Paris. I know that I've got way too much Paris content.
No, you're good. You're good
this week. Many of the clothes worn by Amber and the support group members in the Zydrate song scene,
were they hers?
Oh, they're hers. Yeah, they're totally Paris's clothes.
That's fucking hilarious.
Isn't that great? And then one last one for Paris. According to Darren, Paris was so passionate about the film being made that when production was going to be halted due to the budget going over by $50,000, she made a paid appearance at a nightclub for that sum to make up the difference and keep the filming going.
I heard about that. I was like, oh, that's so cool that she really was that invested in this.
And on top of that, I mean, that technically means she put $50,000 into the film. What would that ordinarily mean you would get?
Sorry, repeat what the fuck you just said?
Ordinarily, if you put $50,000, like, let's say you, AJ, gave this project $50,000, what do you get out of that?
A production credit.
You get a production credit, right? You get an executive producer credit in the film. She didn't get one.
Really?
So, and I don't think this was like a contention thing. Like, she's not complaining. It's just she was so passionate about this project. She said, I'll go get this money for you. She did the appearance. She got the $50,000. She handed it over to them and said, here we go. Let's keep this going. And she didn't demand that she get the executive producer credit. But in my mind, she's an executive producer on this film.
To me, that's actually really cool too, because it's like, okay, I have the money to do this, but I actually want to earn for this film. So she went out, did a appearance, and then
I know, it's badass, yeah. So I guess this, just to wrap this all up in a nice, neat bow, don't put Paris Hilton into a box.
Yeah.
It's easy to put somebody like her in a box because she was, she is an heiress. She was raised with absolutely everything she could possibly ever want. But I'd say in the most recent years, and even here in 2008, Paris is showing us I'm a serious person.
Exactly.
I take things seriously. I don't sign into projects that I don't intend to finish, and I will even go so far as to find additional funding for a project if I truly believe that it needs to come to fruition. That's pretty amazing. So moving on from fucking Paris Hilton, finally. Next we have Bill Moseley. I think it's Moseley. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure it's just Moseley.
Bill Moseley? Okay, well, he plays Luigi Largo.
Yeah.
You'll notice there's definitely an Italian overtone to the Largo family. So Luigi is the eldest brother. Bill is most likely going to remembered for playing Otis in 2 Rob Zombie films.
You put his some respect on that name. It's Otis B. Driftwood.
I'm so sorry that I did not give Otis B. Driftwood the proper fucking titling.
I thought he was in all of them though.
The only 2 I saw was House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects. Was he in more?
I thought he was in 3 from Hell, wasn't he?
I didn't see 3 from Hell, but that could have totally been on there.
Because that was the trilogy.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so, he was Otis B. Driftwood.
Okay, there you go. Otis B. Driftwood and 3 from Hell as well.
Like, hold on, I know my Rob Zombie.
You do know your Rob Zombie. You are a Rob Zombie connoisseur.
Ooh, connoisseur.
He also played Johnny in the 1990s Night of the Living Dead, along with a slew of other credits in mostly the horror genre. So I'd say Bill Moseley's career has majorly been spent doing the horror flicks. Next we have Kevin Ogilvy. He plays Pavi Largo, the younger brother.
Is it Kevin Ogilvy?
Yeah, Kevin Ogilvy.
His fucking name is Ogre.
Yeah, that's his stage name, yes.
Oh, okay, so you're gonna, instead of calling Sam Jackson...
I was getting to that, sir.
Okay.
When we get to the point where he is...
I'll stop stepping on your toes.
No, that's fine. You stop stepping all over my penis,
I was like,
sir.
I was like, what the fuck is he talking about?
So Kevin Ogilvy, also known as Ogre, specifically from his project, his most well-known project as a performer in the band Skinny Puppy. Fucker. He's got a few acting credits, such as the Doom Generation. Do you remember this one? With Rose McGowan?
I do not.
It's a weird one. Like, I remember watching it. I don't remember finishing it, but I remember just It's a fucking weird-ass movie.
I know he was in The Devil's Carnival, which is like...
He was in The Devil's Carnival and the subsequent sequel, and we're going to see that repeated a lot. Oh, yeah, there's The Devil's Carnival, and then there's like... fuck, I can't remember what the name is.
Oh, okay, yeah, because it's a... I get you, yeah. Okay, yeah, I've seen it.
And then he's actually in the recent TV show Teen Wolf and Evil.
Who the fuck was he in Teen Wolf?
He doesn't have a big role. Like, you can, like, if you go to his IMDb, it's not, you'll even see it. You'll look at the thing, and I think he's like number something, so that kind of tells you that he's not.
Ghost Rider in Teen Wolf?
Yeah, he was in Ghost Rider too.
No, he was not in Ghost Rider.
Oh, sorry, no, he wasn't in Ghost Rider. Was Ghost Rider. Anthony Head was in Ghost Rider. Apologies. But yes, as AJ alluded, Kevin Ogilvy is most widely known as Ogre due to his work in the band Skinny Puppy. And I think we actually have some Skinny Puppy interjections in this film. So what do you got? You got a face on. What's this face?
I didn't realize that was him. I know this character, and I was like,
you do? Okay.
Yeah, I was like,
is he a recurring character, or is he just kind of a...
Yeah, he's been in a couple...
I was about to say it. I think it only said he was in like 3 or 4 episodes, right?
I think so. This was... It's kind of weird. It's just another supernatural entity in the show. I'm not going to go into it at all, but like, there's just a bunch of supernatural entities, and that just happens to be one of them.
Very cool. Next, we're going to get into... So those are the Largos. Those are all... Oh, and you interrupted me before I got to say my little piece here with Kevin Ogilvy. He plays Pavi Largo, the younger brother, or as I'll be referring to him, Old Stapleface.
Old Stapleface?
Old Stapleface. Because that's what he is in this movie. He's got fucking staples in his face, and then he puts on other people's faces on his face. It fucking looks weird. It's so creepy.
He's also a flirt, so there's that.
I mean, it's not how I would put it. I'd probably use the word grapist, but he's kind of fucky. Anyway, moving on from the Largos, who are, I would argue, are our antagonists. Now we get into our anti-heroes / heroes, and that's the Wallace family and associates.
Sean, before we get into that, I just got one thing to say.
What do you got to say, AJ?
Kraken.
Love that sound. So right off the bat, and I know AJ's going to be super excited as soon as I say the name. We've got Anthony Head.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we fucking do.
You do.
Anthony Head, who plays Nathan Wallace, a.k.a. the Repo Man.
Repo
Man! That literally happens in the film, like at the very beginning. It's like, Repo Man! And I'm going to spare you all and not play that sound, because that would just be mean.
No, don't spare him. Fucking play the sound. Fucking do it.
He's recently been appearing as Rupert Mannion in the hit new series Ted Lasso. There's this little scene where he's in a bar playing darts. So if you've caught that, you'll see that Anthony Head appears in that scene, and he's kind of the one that Ted Lasso is playing against in darts. So if you've been on the internet at all in the last fucking year, you'll probably notice that Anthony Head was in that scene.
I have like a couple weeks left in my Apple TV membership. I'll have to watch that.
Oh, yeah, there you go. He was in an episode of Bridgerton. He's done some voice work for Assassin's Creed and Batman, Gotham by Gaslight.
You're really burying the lead here.
I'm not burying the lead. I'm building up to the lead, okay. God damn it. Okay. Read the fucking copy. He appeared in one of the Percy Jackson films and the Ghost Rider sequel. But damn it if none of that matters, because we're talking about Rupert fucking Giles from the hit TV series Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Ooh.
So that's what you're going to know him as. If you have any connection whatsoever to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you will remember the somewhat nerdy yet strangely attractive librarian that comes to Buffy's school and basically becomes her, is it called, like, watcher?
Yeah, he's a watcher.
A watcher. Basically responsible for ensuring that Buffy stays on the right path and any subsequent training that she might need. That's our Rupert Giles. That's Anthony Head. He is our Repo Man. Now, fun fact. Anthony, and also, most people probably know him by his full name, Anthony Stewart Head.
Anthony
Stewart Head, because most people don't just know him as Anthony Head.
As Ash.
He was actually chosen for the role after Darren Bozeman heard him sing in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the 6th season, episode 7, the Once More with Feeling, the musical episode. He saw that episode and was like, hey, I bet he could do my film.
He's got a fantastic voice, too.
Did you ever see him do Frankenfurter?
Yeah, you actually showed me this.
Oh, God, it's amazing, right? He's just... You see him in Repo, and he's got an incredible voice in Repo. And you kind of think, okay, yeah, maybe he just kind of did what he... No, this is just a talent he has. He's just an incredible... And you look at his credits, he does all kinds of different types of work. Serious, fun, supernatural and horror related, kind of stuffy Brit TV, because he is British. So he's just so eclectic as a performer. It's absolutely amazing. Next we have... And tell me what you think about this. You know her as Alexa Vega, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard her referred to as Alexa Pena Vega?
No.
I hadn't either, so I'm not really sure what that is. And I kind of tried to look it up, but it doesn't really... You look up Alexa Vega, you get Alexa Vega. But on IMDb, she's listed as Alexa Pena Vega.
It's because she's married.
But it's not like that. It's not a hyphen. It's just Pena Vega. There's no hyphen in it.
That's the guy's last name.
His last name is Pena.
Yeah, Pena Vega.
So so instead of doing the hyphen, they just decided to make it a compound word.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Well, so Alexa Vega, or as her married name now is, Alexa Pena Vega, she plays Shiloh Wallace. She also appeared in The Devil's Carnival. She was in Machete Kills as Killjoy with Danny Trejo. But I think she's probably most going to be well known by really any of our audience members as Carmen Cortez in every fucking Spy Kids movie ever. At the time, most of her films were more of a kid-friendly variety, so this casting is a lot of fun, because this is her stepping into a darker role and fulfilling kind of the common trope of the innocence lost, so it's so appropriate that we took an actor who had majorly been in kids-oriented films and moved her into this dark role. So it's not just she's playing the role of the innocence lost trope, but it's almost like her career is coming into the innocence lost trope by moving away from the kids' films into the darker film. And I just thought that was a really, really neat transition for her.
I would say that I think the next thing I remember seeing her in after was Machete Kills. So I was I was basically thinking, you're exactly what you just said. This is moving her into her older roles.
It's crazy. Next, and this is going to be exciting for both AJ and I, we have Sarah Brightman.
Yes.
Who plays Blind Mag, an absolute stunning beauty in this film. Now, Sarah doesn't actually have a lot of film credits, but that's because she is adored all over the world as a classical crossover soprano with 180 gold and platinum awards in 40 different countries. If you remember the song Time to Say Goodbye, her rendition with Andrea Bocelli is the most famous and most beloved. All that said, her most recognizable credit will most likely be her role originating Christine Day in Andrew Lloyd Webber's The Phantom of the Opera, who she was also married to for 7 years.
Was she really?
Yeah, I didn't realize that. Yeah, she was actually married to Andrew Lloyd Webber. I think it was 83 to 90, somewhere around there, or 84 to 91, something like that. But yeah, she basically, I think she was married to him while she was on Broadway. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
After I watched this movie, I have to say that I fell in love with her. She was my celebrity crush for a long time.
Oh, she's so amazing, and
it's not only her beauty either.
No,
it's
her
not. Voice and her presence.
Oh, absolutely. And we are definitely going to be giving you a piece of that in the show today, because I would definitely not deprive our audience of having the opportunity to get to hear just a sliver of the amazingness that is Sarah Brightman. Now, fun fact, someone on IMDb tried to claim this was her first film, but there's actually a 2005 credit for a film called Aspects of Love. As far as I can tell, it was an actual film, but it was written by Andrew Lloyd Webber, so I'm not really sure.
Okay.
It's like, okay, is that why maybe this person was like, oh, this is her first film? But I saw that and I was like, I don't think so. I know she doesn't have a lot of film credits, because it's just not really her medium, but I was pretty sure she had at least done one film prior. Another fun fact, she was actually not originally slated for this role.
Who was?
I don't know. I tried
Who the fuck would you have
to
gotten?
find it. It just says on several sites another performer was originally cast but had to drop out due to the film's low budget. And I could not for the life of me find out who the hell they thought would be a better pick than Sarah fucking Brightman.
One of my favorite performances, I don't know if you've seen this, it's Sarah Brightman performing The Phantom of the Opera. And it's got Antonio Banderas as the
Phantom?
The Phantom.
Oh, wow.
That's such a good performance, too.
Can Antonio Banderas sing?
Oh, yeah.
Really? He can hit those.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Like, were they singing the song?
Yeah, they were singing the song.
Holy shit. That's a hard range to hit
yeah.
as a guy. Holy fuck. I mean, definitely harder as a woman, because Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That hits
Christine's range in this,
I
especially
know.
when she's singing, like, Think of Me and all that. I mean, that's a whole nother movie and a whole nother thing to talk about, but just
we could probably do, you and I
Brightman's-
could do like a 4-hour podcast just talking about Phantom of the Opera and not even getting into specifics. We could literally just be gushing over it for 4 hours.
We could do a secondary podcast on just fucking musicals.
Next we have Terence Zdunik, and I did look this up. I'm saying this right. Zdunik, who plays the Grave Robber. Yeah. Actually, I don't know if it's the Grave Robber or Grave Robber. I think it's just Grave Robber. Well, Terrence also appeared in, you guessed it, The Devil's Carnival.
Of course. Didn't he write it?
I've never seen this movie, and now I think I have to. While not having too many film credits, he nurtured the Repo project, serving as writer, composer, director, producer, and actor through its various incarnations for 10 years. And that was in addition to quite a bit of storyboard work. That seems to be more where he's kind of, where most of his credits were. So he did that for films like Bedazzled with Brendan Fraser and Elizabeth Hurley.
Fraser?
Every fucking time. Another goddamn Kim Basinger. Yeah. Now, I am only mentioning this person because if I didn't mention this person, I would be in trouble at home. I did not realize this, but Brianna Buckmaster appears in this film.
Who?
Brianna Buckmaster. She plays a character named Sherry Alviso. Now, she is not, by any stretch of the imagination, a primary or even well-known character of this film. The reason I'm mentioning her is my wife and I have actually had the pleasure of meeting Brianna several times, and she is an absolute delight. Because most will remember her as the delightful, charming, and badass Sheriff Donna Hanscom in the show Supernatural.
I didn't realize she was in this.
I didn't either. I while I was watching it, I was kind of trying to find her, and it's like, I don't think I realized who she is in this. I still, even after rewatching it again. So, still a mystery to me, but IMDb assures me that Brianna Buckmaster is in here, and I had to give her a shout out because she's amazing, and we love her. So, thank you, Brianna, for being a part of this amazing project. So let's do some fun facts before we jump in here.
Ooh.
The tagline of this film was, "Not your parents' opera." Did your parents listen to opera, AJ?
No, I listen to opera.
I listened to a little bit too, and my parents listened to a little bit, but they weren't playing arias in the fucking living room. That was not a thing.
I'm pretty sure, and I've been called this before, people think I'm a serial killer, because when I'm trying to focus, or I'm trying to research, or anything like that, I turn on opera. I don't know why I do it, but it helps me fucking focus. So if you ever came over, and I'm just sitting there with my laptop, just doing my research, or if I'm actually studying, it's just fucking arias in the background. So
or
I will
opening up a victim on your table. Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
I will be that dad.
Now, as I noted before, this film went through several iterations before becoming this cult classic that we now know and love, including a stage production and a short film that saw Michael Rooker as the Repo Man.
No, I think we might have talked about this before.
Yeah. So, most people will probably remember Rooker as Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy, the one that kind of plays the somewhat stepfatherly figure to Star-Lord. Christine Farley played Shiloh, and I really couldn't find a lot about her, but as we mentioned in our earlier Saw episode, Shawnee Smith played Heather Sweet. And Heather Sweet became Amber Sweet. So that was the role that Shawnee was playing in the show. She was basically playing the Amber Sweet character, which I thought was kind of funny because Shawnee's definitely more of a badass than a heiress type character, so I thought that was kind of interesting. And then, of course, Terrence Zdunick was the grave robber in the short as well. Now, this film... I'm sorry, this part's a little funny. It had an $8.5 million budget, AJ. Do you want to know what it made at the box office?
I think I actually know this.
What is it?
It's in the ballpark of just under 200,000, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
182 grand. So they did not get their money back on this. I don't know how the DVD sales or the rewatches on streaming have been since then. So they may have recouped just from the cult following of this film. But at least from the initial release, they were not seeing their return on investment. So yeah, this is exactly why we say this is a cult classic. This thing was not released to legions of fans
or critical acclaim
or critical acclaim. No, I think it has like it's got a 37% on Rotten Tomatoes. So, but then it has a 73% audience score. So just to go into that, the producers have stated this film was supposed to be a middle part of a planned trilogy. Did you know that?
Yeah, I actually knew that, and I knew that it will never be a trilogy.
Well, they have said, now this was probably years ago, but they said the next chapter was planned as a prequel to the events shown in this film. And it was tentatively titled Repo, The Beginning.
Yeah.
But again, given this film had a 37% Rotten Tomatoes, but a 73% audience score, it's pretty clear that this is a cult following from sickos like us. So I'm not expecting any further Repo projects anytime soon. Especially since, this is 15 years old now?
No, you know the real reason, right?
What's the real reason, AJ?
The real reason is they lost the rights to this movie. It's basically the same thing as Dogma.
The Dogma.
They don't own the rights anymore.
So who owns the fucking rights?
I don't know. I'm
is
guessing.
James Wan again?
I'm
fucking James Wan.
No, but they were really trying to push to get this made because after the fan following became what it was and people were advocating for this, they really thought that they were going to see a huge success after the people started going to go see it. But somewhere in there, I think it was Terrence that actually made a video about it where he was saying that the future of the movie is no longer in their control.
That actually makes sense.
And that's why he made the Devil's Carnival.
I think that's why Terrence has been so attached to this project since the very beginning. It would make sense that he'd be the one.
He wrote it.
Yeah. The entire set was built on one soundstage.
I can see that.
Yeah. Based off what we've seen from the film, that doesn't surprise me either. George Romero was supposed to make a cameo. Yeah, right?
Like fucking what, mate?
George Romero. So, for anybody unfamiliar, George Romero is I think he actually passed away not too long ago, but he's most well known for Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, basically zombie flicks. People kind of think of him as the father of the zombie movie.
Yeah. Because
he was the first one to kind of, create it in what we now know to be its kind of understanding of what zombies are and how they behave. So he was unable to do the scheduling conflicts, but I wish I could have found something. Like I looked it up. I was really trying to find something that would tell me what the fuck he was going to do in the film. Whether it was just going to be a Brianna Buckmaster where we're not even going to fucking know who he's playing, or if there was actually some intent for him to be a character we would all recognize. But
there is a cameo I really like in here, but I'm guessing you're going to talk about that later during it.
Is her initials JJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Yeah, we are. Finally, there are a total of 58 songs in this film, including the instrumentals. We will be covering some.
No, buckle up, motherfuckers. We're doing them all.
50 fucking 8. Hope you brought some snacks.
Hope you brought some toast.
Ah! Now, AJ, who do you see Sam Elliott playing in this film?
I'm gonna go with Pavi.
Fucking why?
Because it'd be fucking hilarious.
Right. Every time we do Sam Elliott now, you're just trying to find the most ridiculous fucking character for him to play.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Honestly, I'd put him as the grave robber.
No.
Here's why. Do you remember the role that he played? And I swear I've been doing this too often now where I'm looking at his past roles and kind of saying, this is why. Do you remember him from The Big Lebowski?
Yes.
What did he play in The Big Lebowski?
Wasn't he like a, shit. What was he?
He's the narrator.
Yeah.
He's kind of in the film, but he's a narrator. What is the grave robber in this?
He's a narrator. But here's the thing. That fucking mustache just doesn't fly with the Zydrate fans.
That's your beef with it.
Exaggerate comes.
Well, how is that mustache going to work on a fucking on staple face? How's that going to happen?
It'll just kind of hang under it.
Just kind of hanging off the fucking staple face.
Because when he needs to pull it off, he can just like lift his whisker up.
Ew. AJ, let's dive in here, shall we?
Okay.
The film starts us off with comic panels giving us all the backstory we'll need.
With a badass instrumental too.
Very badass. It's all like electric guitar. Like, well, this is, and we should preface that. This is called the genetic opera, but it's not your traditional, string instrumental opera.
No.
This is like, it's like it's very hard.
Well, it's a
like,
rock opera.
It's a rock opera, yeah. And that's a good way to put it. It's a rock opera. But modern day rock opera, not like Tommy rock opera. This is the not too distant future, as it suggests. There's an epidemic of organ failures. Millions die. Chaos ensues. But then, out of the tragedy, a savior rises. GeneCo, the company of none other than Roddy Largo. GeneCo offers organ financing to allow the dying a chance to survive, as long as they make their payments.
Oh, are these steep payments?
They actually don't really go into how much it costs. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
You just kind of have to assume. As is so often with capitalism, the base level of help people survive isn't enough, and GeneCo starts offering surgery as a fashion statement. GeneCo also offers Zydrate, quote, an expensive and addictive painkiller, unquote. But a cheap version can be bought from grave robbers who extract the cheap version from the dead. And
it's a little grody, too.
It is a little grody, and we should probably note that he's not like just... when they say extract from the dead, the way he does it is he goes up to a dead body, and then he jams a syringe up their nose into their brain and then extracts it. So
it's his version of Kraken.
Yeah, it's like God, it's his version of Kraken. So, he's extracting brain juice. It's pretty fucked up. Not satisfied with his new empire and seeing money lost from non-payment, Roddy successfully lobbies Congress to make organ repossessions legal. Enter Repo Men. Repo Men! I knew you were going to fucking say it. Now, I should preface this plot retelling by noting this is not an in-depth or complicated plot.
No, it's just a brief overview with some storyboards.
Right. But even the entire plot of the film, not super complicated. It's actually just a kind of a small slice of, here's a thing happening, and really this story is not the story of the Repo Man or Shiloh. It's really just the story of, let's talk about what happened with Roddy Largo.
Exactly. Now,
we go into the stories of each of these characters, and that's a lot of fun, and we do get some characterization there, but really, the reason we're focusing in on this moment in time is because all of their lives intersect, much like a traditional opera. Yeah. The live action scenes begin with our narrator, Grave Robber, telling us about a specific Repo Man in his area, a giant 6'6" man whose identity is unknown. Now, fun fact, Terrence Zdunick actually plays Grave Robber and the Repo Man in this opening sequence.
Really?
So when you see the Repo Man doing all the killing and all the stuff that he's doing in this opening sequence, that's actually Terrence. So,
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just they didn't have Anthony ready, or if they were trying to or maybe this was done after the fact. I didn't really, go into why that was, but yeah, that's actually Terrence in the costume.
I love the way that he sings all of his songs too, because he does a really, really fantastic voice.
He does.
But it's almost, and to me, it's almost like Johnny Cash, where it's almost kind of like talking almost.
He does. Because he's like, he stands at 6'6", head and shoulders. Pray he never comes knocking at your door. So you can hear the sing-song in his voice, but you're right, there's very much a conversational tone to it.
Yeah.
And we actually see that a little bit from Roddy, too, which I like.
I just love this movie.
It's such a great flick. From this opening scene to the fast forward to GeneCo Tower, immediately following, we're given a glimpse into the dystopia the world has fallen into as the Repo Man stalks a person negligent in their payments, and Grave Robber narrates in song.
That's gotta be kind of fucked up, though. Like, you're just sitting there, maybe you're a little late on your credit card.
Right?
Something happens, and then they fucking kill you?
And that's the worst part. Like, I was gonna note this. You ever notice it's like, let's say it's the eyes, right? Like Blind Mag's eyes, right? They don't just take the organ, because if it's your heart, it's like, well, yeah, that's going to kill you. You don't really have a choice. Or your spine, that's going to kill you. But they never just take the fucking organ. He always has to kill the motherfucker.
Yeah, he has to kill him.
Like what the fuck?
It's got to be something in their contract.
Well, and he does later refer to himself as the legal assassin, because that's really what he is. You know, they have surgeons as these repo men because they need to be precise in being able to extract the organs.
Oh, they fucking don't.
Sure, they do.
They just rip them bitches out like they do in the movie.
They gotta slice it nice and careful so that way you can use it again. Because that's the whole point, is you're repoing it so you can use it again, so you can get that secondhand fucking brain.
Yeah.
As we join Roddy and his fucked up kids in Geneco Tower, we learn Roddy is completely disappointed with his kids and has a blood cancer that can't be cured with a simple organ transplant. Roddy is going to die. And there's not really more we need to go into there. It's telling us. This isn't like we're going to find some way to cure Roddy or, there will be a way around this. This sets the stage for what this slice of the story is all about, of why these characters come together. It's because Roddy is on his deathbed. It's the only reason this entire series of events gets set in motion. Now, fun fact, in this scene when we first see the character Pavi, the face he is wearing at the time is actually a mold of Darren Lynn Bousman's girlfriend's face.
That's a little fucked up.
Isn't that fucked up? Like, I feel like that's a prank, right?
Like if you were looking at him and you were just like...
like, why do you look like my girlfriend?
I wonder if he sees that later after, like whenever the movie's done, everything's great, he looks over, he just sees fucking ogre.
And not to beat a dead horse here, but in case we're not making it clear, Pavi... He has staples in his face, and he has another face stretched over his own face. So he kind of looks like Leatherface if I was going to describe it, but it's not as bad and kind of grotesque looking as Leatherface's. It's very smooth and clean, and almost makes him look expressionless. It's very creepy looking.
Yeah, it's really creepy.
Except for like the giant smile that he kind of crafts in it artificially, in the mouth area. It's fucking weird. Now, AJ, I have a question for you, because, in this scene, we've got Roddy's guards standing behind him. Why are Roddy's guards super attractive women in miniskirts?
I mean, when you got that much money, who's really going to try to fuck with you when your whole business is repoing people's organs, and you have a team of skilled surgeons that could just kill you at any moment? Do you really want to fuck with that guy?
I mean,
why not just have attractive surgeon or attractive? Well, that's just
it. It's not so much the fact that they're attractive women that really bothers me. It's why the fuck is he making them wear miniskirts? That's not tactically sound.
Because he can.
But that's not tactically sound. What if they need to do some fucking front rolls or run? Like, that's just, and they're in heels?
Do you think he cares?
I don't, and that's the problem. He needs to start thinking about his personal security detail in a better light.
Well, he's about to die.
They're not prepared, AJ. These are unprepared young ladies. As Roddy exits the building, he sings a song indicating he has not chosen a successor out of his 3 children.
I love this song.
Which then immediately shifts to Shiloh in bed, which seems to be kind of foreshadowing, letting us know that he might be considering Shiloh to be his replacement. We join Shiloh in a gas mask as she makes her way to what appears to be a crypt to read and catch bugs, like all teenage girls love to do. Now, fun fact, when traveling through the underground tunnels, Alexa Vega almost caught her hair on fire due to all the torches. So, that's fun.
That sucks.
Right.
She's not really a spy kid at that point.
I actually felt it a little ironic, because we later find out that, Shiloh is bald and is wearing a wig. So it's like, well, what caught fire? Her hair or the wig? We get a glimpse of the grave and the crypt with a name, Marnie Wallace, who we'll later learn is Shiloh's mother. Was Shiloh's mother. Shiloh spots a bug that, according to her book, is a rare find that she is determined to capture. This leads her to step outside the crypt into the graveyard, which her song, a duet with grave robber called 21st Century Cure, gives the impression she should not be doing. She's joined by the grave robber, who is busy both extracting zydrate and further narrating about the condition of the present. The song also seems to serve as an introduction between Shiloh and grave robber.
It's the 21st century. Cure!
love this song. There's some shit I don't understand about the song, but
What do you not understand about the song? Because I actually have a note here as well.
So the biggest thing to me is there's a point at the apex of his chorus where he just starts fucking screaming.
Fucking right? That's literally what I have written down. Here he is. And let me paint the scene for our viewers here. Our listeners, excuse me. Let me paint the scene for our listeners. Here's the grave robber. He's got his little fucking needle up some dead woman's, nostril, and he's extracting some zydrate, and he's singing, it could change your life, rest assured. And there's Shiloh, kind of sitting and leaning against a nearby grave, and she's just looking on in kind of wonderment and somewhat horror, but not really, just kind of curious about what's happening here, right? And this is them kind of being introduced, and in the background we can see the little stormtrooper motherfuckers walking around. And what does the grave robber decide is a really great thing to do right now?
Scream graves.
Fucking scream! What the fuck?
I wonder if it has to do with the fact that he knew that her dad was the Repo Man and he was trying to get her back home.
I don't see that at all. I think it's literally just, this is a device we're using within a operatic rock musical scenario to alert the authorities so that we can have what will eventually happen take place to move the story along. That's all it feels like to me, because otherwise, it's just, it's like you said, it's just fucking stupid. Why the fuck are you screaming? Shut the fuck up. You're supposed to be a clandestine agent sucking fucking brain juice out of people's heads. What the fuck is wrong with you? Quit screaming, you moron.
You put some respect on that Zydrate. Comes in a little glass vial, you fucker.
Obviously, the screaming alerts the authorities.
Oh, yeah.
Who eventually catch up with Shiloh as grave robber escapes. During the confrontation with the authorities, the Repo Man shows up and starts pushing everyone back away from Shiloh. A watch on Shiloh's arm starts to indicate a blood pressure warning and that medication is needed immediately as she passes out. Shiloh wakes up in her bed, surrounded by plastic curtains, presumably to protect her weakened immune system. We learn here she's actually bald from the disease that's ravishing her. Her father, Nathan, both comforts and admonishes her for going outside, reminding her of her delicate condition from her blood disease. He equally tries to convince her the previous ongoings were all in her head.
This is what's kind of stupid to me. If you can clone a heart, right, or whatever, to manufacture a heart, you should be able to pump blood into somebody's body.
I don't know, because, and I guess that's, the problem is I don't have a degree in medicine, so...
I'm guessing it would have to, if you'd have to replace her bone marrow and everything like that too, because depending on where the blood disease stems from,
and that's what I'm wondering is
come from the marrow.
How much are you going to need to replace in a person's body, and is it even feasible?
Like, where the fuck does this blood disease come from? Because if it's strictly from the blood, you replace the heart and then you recirculate new blood into the body. I would think
do a bypass.
Yeah, you would be able to cure it. But if it's from the marrow and it's constantly putting out different white blood cells, it's constantly replicating.
Then we see him actually take a guy's spine out, which was property of Gene Co.
Oh, yeah.
So it's, you could theoretically also replace the bones, and that's what I'm saying. It seems like even, and we could definitely wax intellectual about all this, but I think they're using blood as a way of saying, this is the thing that can kill you that can't be undone.
Yeah.
Because with any other organ, if they said, oh, he's got a heart disease, it's like, well, then fucking replace it. Oh, he's got liver disease, then fucking replace it.
Oh, he's got a hangnail.
Fucking replace it.
Fucking finger.
Fucking replace his hand. Nathan gives the audience more information through song. Shiloh's mother also had this blood disease, for which Nathan is trying to find a cure. As Nathan leaves Shiloh in her room, Shiloh launches into Infected.
I'm infected by your genetics, and I don't think that I can be fixed. No, I don't think that I can be fixed. You tell me why are my genetics such a bitch?
As Shiloh's song concludes, we're taken back into comic panels to give Nathan's backstory. Nathan and Marnie were in love, and Marnie was pregnant with Shiloh when they got the news of Marnie's blood sickness. Nathan thought he found a cure, which would wind up killing Marnie. With time running out, he could only save one of them. Back in reality, Nathan launches into Legal Assassin, where he reveals he is, in fact, the Repo Man.
Years roll by without you mourning. 17 have come and gone. I raised our Shiloh with the best intentions, but there is something I can tell her. I'm lost without you here. I am only living out a lie.
So I love the duality between the two of these actors. Basically, he's just singing because he wants to keep her there. She's singing because she wants to get out, and she feels like she's contained and she's not free. But he's just like, I just want to keep this family together. And the way that their voices are together is really cool too. Because, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Alexa Vega does not have the strongest voice. Anthony Stewart Head does have a really strong voice. But when they sing together, it's really great.
It works well. And I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I didn't necessarily think Alexa Vega didn't have a strong voice. I thought she had a very childlike voice, and I thought it played well to the boisterous, booming, and very, overbearing and impressive voice of Nathan. I thought that was just kind of an interesting kind of, here's him like, where did my daughter go? Versus hers, which sounds very little girl-like, and that's what she's supposed to be.
I should probably say, not that she doesn't have a strong voice, but her range is more limited compared to some of the other characters.
Fair.
Besides Amber, so.
Now, from this scene, because we do see Nathan go downstairs at kind of the culmination of Legal Assassin, where he literally says, I'm the Repo Legal Assassin, and he's actually killing someone kind of like in his basement.
Yeah, takes his work home with him.
Takes his work home with him. Do you get the impression from this scene and a few of the others in this film that he likes his job a little too much?
I think he's a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
A little bit, right? Like,
I'll buy that for $1.
He gets a big old shit-eating grin on his face sometimes when he's doing this, and it's kind of fucked up.
I think it's more later down the line you find out. Well, I don't know if you really find it out, but it seems like he has a split personality in some ways.
Kinda, right? Like
there's the Repo Man, and then there's
the father. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. We can go into that whenever the
final scene, and I definitely have that.
Not the final scene, but like one of the final songs.
Yeah, it's kind of the penultimate scene.
Yeah.
The next scene it's such a fucking throwaway, but it's fun. We join the Largo children in an organ storage facility being complete fucking reprobates. Killing random people, throwing organs on the ground like they'll still be usable after that, and all while singing a campy little tune called Mark It Up.
It's one of my least favorite songs, but it's funny.
It is, because it's just... And it's weird that they're juxtaposing... Because Amber doesn't even seem to be in the running here. She's just so in her own fucking world. So it's really the two brothers that think that one of them is going to be taking it over. And they're juxtaposing themselves against each other with, Luigi talking about how he has the brains, and Pavi as the heartthrob. And they're illustrating this with actual fucking organs, which is hilarious. But they're just, Pavi loves all of the hearts. And that's how he sounds, by the way. Hey, he's up here, like he's actually fucking Luigi from Mario.
Mario.
That's how he sounds. Whereas the actual Luigi character's like, I'm the toughest and the strong, like kind of gravelly. He's fucking weird.
No, finish that fucking part.
No, I will not. The part where he says, I will find a hole and fuck it. Yeah. And if there ain't one, I will make one. Yeah, it's fucked up. This is a very... I wouldn't say this is a gory film, but it's kind of
pretty gory.
I guess you're right. It is a gory film. So they don't hold back with some of the fucked up things they say in this film.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We rejoin Shiloh in her bedroom as she hears Blind Mag, a famous singer who will be performing tonight at the Genetic Opera. Just then, she receives a message from Roddy Largo asking her to meet him at her mother's tomb. We again go back to comic panels to give Roddy's story. Roddy was seeing Marnie before she met Nathan. When Marnie got sick, Roddy seized the opportunity for revenge and replaced what Nathan thought was the cure he produced with a poison. Roddy and Shiloh are able to meet and converse in Roddy's limo. I don't know if most opera is this way, but there's so little meat in this scene other than Roddy reiterating he has a cure for her. He invites her to be his +1 at the Genetic Opera, further selling it by noting Blind Mag will be there. Shiloh is reluctant.
I have to say that Roddy's singing to Shiloh in the limo, he has a very beautiful voice.
He has a very...
I love that voice.
Like, I didn't look it up, and I probably should have, but I wonder if he's classically trained. Because
he would have to be.
He sings like what I imagine an Italian opera singer would sing an aria. Like, he sounds that way. You know, he's very... That's how he sounds. So I have to assume there's some sort of classical training there. We immediately switch to Nathan performing some of his Repo duties to the song Thankless Job.
Oh, I love this song.
With a slice, a snip, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. With a cut and a stitch, returning organs good as new.
AJ, seriously, just what the fuck? He literally starts using this poor bastard on his surgery table as a goddamn puppet.
I love this scene because at the end of it, he really looks around and he's like...
What the fuck am I doing? What is wrong with me? He really does. Like, he has this weird moment, but it's almost comedic.
Oh, yeah.
It's not supposed to be a serious moment of introspection where he's like, I'm taking a little too much joy in this job. It's more just kind of a, did I just stick my hand in this guy's fucking body and turn him into a puppet?
It's like, man, I need to switch to Coke Zero. What the fuck is this?
I gotta get on decaf. The next scene takes us to what I can only describe as a surgery circus, where we start with Pavi being filleted while having his face put on, then joined by his idiot siblings. They run into Blind Mag, who seems to indicate she's leaving the opera, to which Amber wants to step in. They're interrupted by Roddy, with Shiloh in tow, who makes the introduction with Blind Mag. Mag seems taken aback to see Shiloh. Before she can say anything, Mag is called to the stage, launching us into another comic panel for Mag's story. Mag was best friends with Marnie, but had always been blind. Roddy gave her eyes, but signed her to a lifelong contract. Mag can never leave Roddy or Jinko.
You're telling me that contract was in no way, shape, or form in Braille?
It wasn't in the fucking comic strip, so no, you're right. That's pretty fucked up, isn't it?
I'm just saying, like, she fucked herself on that one.
You know what I say to that, AJ?
Kraken?
As Mag makes the announcement of her retirement, Shiloh is forced into a surgical tent for some fucking reason, but is rescued by the grave robber, who offers to take her home. They wind up in an alley of prostitutes and Zydrate addicts, where we get, by far, the most famous song of the film.
I can't feel nothing at all.
Zydrate comes in a little glass vial.
A little glass vial?
And the little glass vial goes into the gun like a battery. And the Zydrate gun goes somewhere against your anatomy. And when the gun goes off, it sparks and you're ready for surgery.
In this scene, we learn 3 things. Zydrate is sold by Grave Robber and is heavily abused. Amber Sweet is addicted to the knife.
Addicted to the knife? And Grave Robber imparts to Shiloh that if Meg quits, she'll lose her eyes and her life. Isn't it also implied that, in addition to like the surgery and the Zydrate, because she's addicted to that as well, that she's been sleeping with the Grave Robber and that's what's been going on?
I don't know. I mean, there's definitely some sexual tension created in that scene where they're kind of back and forth and kind of, kind of a dance is done between the two where you get this impression that there's some sort of energy there, but I don't know if there's anything explicit. Because I know there's not anything explicit between Grave Robber and Shiloh. It's very much more of a friendship, almost like a big brother, little sister type dynamic. But I don't know. I think you could make the argument either way. Grave Robber keeps his promise and delivers Shiloh to her mother's tomb. Roddy summons Nathan and informs him he must take Blind Mag's eyes. Roddy reminds Nathan that on the fateful night Marnie died, Roddy fixed things so Nathan would avoid prosecution, but in exchange for Nathan's surgical skills. Roddy reminds him part of the deal is he would never tell Shiloh of his secret Repo life. Despite the trip down memory lane, Nathan refuses the job, with Roddy promising to take him out. Back at the Wallace residence, blind Mag shows up to talk to Shiloh. Here she reveals she knew Marnie, but never knew Shiloh survived. Now, fun fact, in the original 2002 stage play, Mag is fully aware that Shiloh is alive the entire time, and the two actually have a close relationship.
I wish they would have gone that route.
I could take it either way. I kind of like this whole her showing up and them having this kind of interesting connection moment. I thought it was... I really enjoy the scene. This scene really gets to me, to be honest. The duet covers the desires of both characters to wish they had developed a relationship, and Mag showing Shiloh images of her mother using her eyes as projectors. But the song they sing, Chase the Morning, is by far my favorite song in the entire film.
In you is a world of promise. We have both been kept in bondage, but you can learn from all my failures.
I'm not supposed to talk to strangers.
Or let them through the gate.
That either. A big risk.
A big fence.
A mistake.
A new friend.
Fun fact about the song, do you know who the other voice in that song is?
I don't. Who is it?
I don't know the actual person that sings it, but that's actually supposed to be Marnie singing. That's a recording
it's
of
a recording
Marnie,
of Marnie singing. Oh, I thought you knew who the
No,
I thought you knew
no.
who actually sang it. Yeah.
No. It's just supposed to be Marnie singing.
Yeah, of course. That's the whole point, is that she's playing the part that's going, Chase the Morning. That's supposed to be Marnie on, like, audio from her eyes. Yeah. Nathan interrupts the reunion, insisting Mag must leave. Shiloh begs Nathan to let Mag stay, knowing the fate that will befall her at her final performance. As Mag is forced out, Nathan and Shiloh have a back and forth as Nathan tries desperately to convince Shiloh none of what she's saying is true, until Shiloh produces an article confirming that Mag will undergo repossession. Nathan reaches a boiling point and tells her to shut up as the music comes to an abrupt end. We then get this weird transition after Nathan comes in Shiloh's room to console her, where her outfit suddenly changes and she starts punk singing about being 17 years old. With a cheering crowd at her door, you get the impression this is in her head. Now, fun fact,
Oh, yeah.
and I know you've been waiting for it, AJ.
Oh, yeah.
During this imagination, a guitarist joins Shiloh, who is none other than rock legend Joan Jett.
Oh, fuck yeah.
It's so fucking badass. And she just looks badass there, too. Dude.
I love Joan Jett.
She's so fucking cool. The fantasy ends abruptly when Nathan slaps Shiloh back into reality. Literally.
I think that part was a little fucked up in the movie, because I really don't see Nathan going past that point. Because, I don't know. I don't really know.
I mean, he does murder people for a living.
He does, but he's always been so, like, reserved with her.
He has, but he's also been able to control the narrative with her. He's always been able to convince
That's
her,
true.
you know, when she goes outside, that things that happened didn't actually happen.
And now people are starting to put things in her
and,
head.
And now she's getting more information, so she knows, so he's lost control of being able to tailor make this narrative.
And then you get that revelation in the end, which is a little fucked up.
Yeah. I will say, as far as the slap goes, I don't know about 2008. I think I would have felt the same way as I do now. It's hard to come back from a slap.
Yeah, it really is.
You just slapped your daughter. It's fucked up. It's fucked up, dude.
I think that's the end all be all to relationships, relationships with your spouse, with your siblings, with
that's the stopping point.
That's
right
it.
That's it.
I have a thing about slapping. You don't slap me.
You do. He does obviously.
I really do.
He's got a thing about slapping.
There was no toast after that.
There's no toast. Roddy, back in his tower, is getting ready for the show as Amber enters and cries that her face has been maimed. Really, the only reason to even mention this is for when Amber performs later that night, and we'll get there. After seeing the horrific job that's been done on her face, Roddy allows her to use one of his surgeons to fix it. After Amber leaves, an extended solo from Roddy ultimately reveals he's leaving Geneco to Shiloh.
Well, see, is it just because he wanted to tie to Marnie, or was he just saying fuck you to his sons and daughter, or like what?
Bit of column A, bit of column B, I guess. I think he always felt closer with Marnie, and we don't even really know where his other fucking kids came from, like who the mother is. We never have any introduction to a mother. So I don't know if he just feels a closer connection with Shiloh because of Marnie, because he was so in
loved
love with
Marnie.
her. Yeah. Or if it was just he was so disappointed with his kids and he knew I had to leave it to somebody. So he's like, well, this girl kind of would have been my daughter if Nathan hadn't have fucking come in and swept her off her feet.
This 17-year-old that's never left the house.
Fucking right.
Yeah.
Like what decision-making process is he making there? Like, oh, you're 17, you've been in the same fucking room for the last 17 years and you've never been allowed to leave? Yeah, you're a great candidate to run my multi-billion-dollar corporation.
I bet her social skills are amazing.
Back at the Wallace residence, Nathan overhears a message from Roddy telling Shiloh to meet him at the opera. Shiloh leaves for the opera while Nathan fends off attacks from Roddy's goons, only to discover afterward that Shiloh has left for the opera. We now get a mashup of all the various characters preparing for the opera. Mag resigned to her fate, Shiloh offered a dress her mother once wore, Nathan donning his Repo uniform as they all sing At the Opera Tonight, while making their way to the opera.
That is such a good song.
It is. And it's very indicative of, I think, of what we typically see in stage performances. This is kind of that culminating, like, this is not a reprisal because this song doesn't appear anywhere else in the film, but it's kind of like what we see in a lot of stage musicals where they'll do kind of a reprisal number where everybody joins in right before intermission. Mm-hmm. And I kind of get the impression with the grave robber that comes in and sums up what's been going on, that this is where we would have had an intermission if this were the stage production.
So for people that don't understand like how stage productions usually are, a lot of people have seen Hamilton. There's that really famous song, what is it? The World Turned Upside Down. That is like the classic mixing of all of these different people that are in here. And before it goes right to the intermission, after all of this is done, that's literally just leading you to the next thing.
Or if you're familiar with Wicked, Defying Gravity. It brings us to the culmination of the first act. You fucking ain't right, I cried. It was a beautiful goddamn moment.
You little bitch.
Damn little bitch. I'll give you a little bitch. The opera scene isn't what you expect at all. It's more like a revival, like a church revival, with happy Gene Co. customers in the audience praising Gene Co. for allowing them to continue their debaucherous lives with fresh organs. Now, fun fact, the band members of the Genetic Opera are wearing masks because originally the film was only allowed to have 20 extras. What? I don't know what the fuck that means, and I tried to look it up. Like, what does it mean you're only allowed? Like, I thought maybe it was a restriction of the stage, or maybe they only could afford 20 extras, or there's some sort of like, SAG fucking
I was just thinking about that. Maybe it's a SAG thing.
Like maybe it's a SAG thing that you can only hire so many extras. I don't know. As Shiloh enters through a back entrance, she's met with an 18mm film from Roddy encouraging her to kill the Repo Man. Now, fun fact, the video that Shiloh watches when she gets there was actually edited by Kevin Grudert, who edited the Saw films.
Oh.
Back at the opera, Amber is singing. She goes for a high note, does a spin, and her fucking face falls off. That's it. That's the update. That's the only reason we had to talk about the fact that she got her face fucked up originally. It's the only reason.
And she is terrible.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that was on purpose, though.
No, I'm not saying that Paris Hilton is like...
Oh, no. They did it purposefully. She was supposed to give a bad performance, and then on top of that, her face falls off. It was all just supposed to kind of show that she was never going to be on Blind Mag's level.
Oh, yeah.
Blind Mag takes the stage, suspended in air, in a breathtaking winter scene, singing a beautiful Italian aria, delighting and mesmerizing the audience. The song ends in English, as she confesses she'd rather be blind and tears out her own eyes. Before the crowd can really process what's happening, Roddy cuts her support ropes, letting her fall into a spike, impaling her and sending her to her death. He immediately moves on as though this was all part of the show and ensures the audience there's more to come.
I think that was the most senseless death in the entire movie.
Like,
I really...
That's exactly what I was talking about. That's why I brought it up earlier. You need to repossess Mag's eyes. Why the fuck does she need to die for that to take place?
Exactly.
It's literally just... But, I mean, I get it. It's Roddy thinking he has to have control over everything. This has nothing to do with the fact that Mag is, that he needs to repossess the eyes because that was part of the contract. He felt entitled to Mag. He gave her sight, therefore Mag belongs to him, and that was what was in the contract, so he thinks he fucking owns her. So if she's ever going to leave, he gets to take her entire life, not just her eyes. He's a piece of shit. Shiloh catches up with the Repo Man and knocks him over the head. As he removes his mask, she realizes her father is the infamous night surgeon. The ensuing song, Let the Monster Rise, allows all grievances to be set free into the open, ending with this chilling and powerful line.
Then let the father die, and let the monster rise.
I keep saying this, but I fucking love this song.
I do too. It's so fucking, it will send chills up your spine. Cause he just, Anthony Head hits this so perfectly, and his face is contorted with all the pain you would expect a person in his predicament to be feeling. It's so fucking good.
I love the back and forth they have too, where it's at first him telling her, you know, why did you go outside? I told you not to do that. And she's kind of shirking back from him.
Right, yeah.
And then she takes the power where she's like, you know, telling him, you know, I hate you, go and die. And I love my favorite part of this whole song, and I don't know why. It's not even like the chorus. It's the part where he's like, didn't I build a house and home?
Yeah, like he starts off like trying to reprimand, and then she's kind of shy, and then she comes back and says, no, you did all this shit. And then he's kind of shy, and now he's like, didn't I do pretty good?
Yeah.
You're right. It's a really credible back and forth where just all grievances are laid bare. As promised by Roddy, the conclusion brings all the characters to the stage. Nathan is sliced by Luigi and left powerless on the stage as the opera continues. Roddy and his children tell Shiloh Nathan's dark secret, that he killed her mother. Roddy takes it a step further and reveals Nathan has been keeping Shiloh sick. In Nathan's mind, this was to protect her from the world. And just to go a little bit further into that, because we didn't really go too deep into it.
No.
He's constantly giving Shiloh medicine, and she knows she has to take her medicine. So anytime her little heart monitor goes off, she has to take a little pill. And anytime Nathan and Shiloh are interacting in a scene, he's typically giving her a glass of water that he's just dropped a few pills in. And this is where we come to find those pills are what's making her sick. She's not sick. She's fine. He did this so that he could convince her to never leave the house.
Which is fucked up.
Very fucked up. Shiloh has another blood pressure attack on stage and passes out momentarily, with flashes of the entire film running through her head. As she comes to, she realizes Roddy was right, and the medicine her father gave her was the cause, not the cure. Roddy hands Shiloh a gun, telling her if she ends her father's life, she will inherit GeneCo. Shiloh refuses, turning the gun on Roddy instead. As the lights go out, Roddy takes the gun and fires on Nathan. In his final act, Roddy tells his kids off for the final time before succumbing to his illness on stage.
It's just kind of fucked up.
How so?
When you think about it, you're like, I fucking hate all of you.
Yeah.
And then dies.
Yeah. He basically, and he's kind of shown his disdain for his kids up to this point and saying they're all useless or whatever. But in this part, he really lets them have it, basically telling them, I don't need you. You're nothing. You will never get this company. You are garbage, and get away from me. Like, he really lays into him. Shiloh, at her father's side as he lay dying, sings the song with him, I Didn't Know I'd Love You So Much, as a goodbye in this final touching scene. The onlookers in the audience sit quietly as Shiloh weeps for her father. Now, fun fact, this song, I Didn't Know I'd Love You So Much, was originally a lullaby composer Darren Smith would sing to his son.
That's pretty fucking cool.
Isn't that sweet? She delivers one final solo, Genetic Emancipation, as she walks down the aisle with the spotlight on her. The audience rises as she exits the theater. We end the film with one last visit from our grave-robbing narrator, who wraps up the story with a reprisal twist on his Zydrate Anatomy song.
You kind of find out that some shit has happened. Amber is actually the one that takes over the company.
Wait, where do we find that out?
At the very end of the movie. She's giving a press release and everything where she's basically talking about everything.
I think you're right, yeah, because... But then the grave robber is there talking about the fate of the company is unknown because Shiloh walked away.
Because Shiloh walked away, but then it's shown that Amber actually has the company. But if Shiloh ever came back, she technically is the owner.
So this is weird. I might need to rewatch this on the platform I watched it on, which I think I watched it on Vudu. I don't know if that final Amber Sweet scene was in there.
Really?
Because I'm now trying to remember, because I feel like I would have included that, but I don't remember it. So, but you saying it, I remember that scene. So I'm wondering if that's only on the DVD. So I will go back. I will go back. I will watch it, and on our next episode, I will let our toasticles know whether or not that scene is included in all versions of the show. So AJ, we're at the end here.
Ooh.
We've gotten through Repo the Genetic Opera. What are your final thoughts?
I will always say that this is going to be one of my favorite films of all time. It's got the music, it's got the action, it's very dark, it's very gritty, but it's also very beautiful. I think that this movie has definitely found its audience.
No doubt. I think we'll leave it there. I think that's a good place to go. Well, if you want to catch Repo, the Genetic Opera, on streaming, this film can be seen on Vudu, Fossum. I didn't even know that was a thing. I think that's
Fossum.
Fossum. I love that. Freevee, Pluto, and Roku for free right now.
Ooh.
Again, as we've mentioned in the past, it is spooky season. This is not a horror film, but it is kind of gory, so it kind of falls in that category, and it may be on more platforms right now just because of the time of year. Or if you want to pay for it, it is available on Prime and Apple for $3.99. Our music is created by Augusta Denise, logo by Design World, social media by Amanda the Zydrate Queen, mixing and editing by IPTT Studios, and special thanks to Studio Dog, Joe the Boxer.
And we want to hear from you in your own slice of toast. Tell us about the films you think we and others should see, actors to showcase, or topics to discuss. You can reach us on Instagram at IPTT_podcast. Email us directly at ipttpodcast@gmail.com, or interact with us directly through the Spotify app. Future social medias will be in the future episodes.
And if you ever find yourself needing a little help with the agony, remember that Zydrate comes in a little glass vial.
A little glass vial?
A little glass vial, and the little glass vial goes somewhere against your anatomy. But if you ever find yourself without access to Zydrate, remember,
you can always repo more toast.
Repo more Thanks for listening. Fuck.
I can't hear you. I can't fucking hear you, you fucking